All right. Test, test, test. This thing on? You would think after a year or 7 that we would have it right. Oh, well. So, guys, gals, Marie, Dan, Marie, Dan, Marie. Boy, they're just filling up the chat. Oh, Jim's down there in the chat. Let's see who else is in the chat. Tommy, Ray, Firestorm Records. Glad to have you guys on board with us today. It's going to be an amazing show. Yes, amazing. And Daniel. Daniel or Danielle? It's a slight difference. And Michael Graves is here. Hello, Michael. We need to get together and do another show next year. Yes, sir. I think it'll be a ton of fun. Let me do something with this. Just one sec. There we go. There we go. I feel better. Digital outreach sounds to me like some sort of programs that work with getting troubled youth out of trouble. Yeah. And they work. Herman's here. Welcome, sir. Pastor Errol Williams. Pastor, glad to have you. Richard's here. Welcome. Yes, indeedy. Today we're going to digital overreach. Yes, indeed. Richard predicts a great show. Well, Richard, we'll see how good a predictor you are. It's going to be, the whole idea of doing a show, not just about the next year, but about the next decade. Well, hold on a second. That opens up a lot of possibilities. I mean, what can happen in a decade? Where were you 10 years ago? Right? Ten years ago, I was doing standard definition video soccer games, multi-camera with instant replay. Hello, John. Hello, Ray. I think I've already said hi to Ray. 2020, the age linear streaming networks. Yeah, well, we've got the age. That's parts for sure. Alternative to Facebook and YouTube. Ah, Dan, I like where you're going with that. Tommy says he won't make it through the next decade. Well, you never know. How many times do you, hey, Eric, how many times do you hear somebody say, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. That's always a hoot. Always a hoot. So Eric says 0 years selling computers. Understood. Got to start where you are. It's Daniel as in Daniel Craig, although I'm slightly less famous. Slightly? Okay. Gotcha. Daniel, glad to have you. And love your sense of humor. Indeed. So we all need to pray for Tommy that he lives at least 10 more years. I don't know. Why does it matter? I mean, 100 years from now, it won't matter. 100 years from now, most likely none of us will be alive. Most likely. Although we'll have to wait and see what my predictions say for the next 10 years. How are we doing on time? Oh, we got 8 seconds left. I better switch over to the other set. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go from the real set today, which is currently in this condition. Just sitting there waiting. That's right. Good old set sitting there waiting. And I do have a button on my X Keys XK80 that will put the what you call it? Put the chat up as one of the inputs in the multi-view on the big screen, so I can watch you guys talk amongst yourselves while I'm talking. Not that that's rude or anything. Okay. All right, enough of this. Oh, and shout out in case I forget. On Friday is the 5-Minute Friday X-Key show. Dan, if you will post the time and maybe even a link. I know it's on YouTube. I think it's on Facebook. It will be the last show of the year for Dan Slider. No, he's retiring. That'll be his last show. So, Dan, we're going to miss you. Yes, we are. We're not going to miss you that much, but we're going to miss you. Let's see. What do we have to do here? Golly. So Marie says, so I need to behave tonight. Well, there's a first time for everything. 11 a.m. Friday is the 5-Minute Friday X Keys live show. Pick a time zone, whatever time zone you want, and turn it on at 11 o'clock, and you'll be there. This is Lemonade. Did you hire Dan to help? Well, Dan and I will enter into discussions after the first of the year. Actually, I think he's got a lot of problems. There we go, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time? Now you're really confusing me. Goodness gracious. We've gone out of the frying pan of confusion into the fire of mixed upness. Marie's staying home all day Friday just so she can watch the show. Okay. Anderson's here. Welcome. Firestone Records is it Vital or Vitale? Justice. Yes, welcome. Glad to have you. Anderson's here, the simple guy, offering us all a blessed day when he is tuning in from Barbados, which is no fair at all. Rich says, I just did a 1080p test of Facebook with vMix color bar and no sound and got a copyright hit. Oh, that's great. I didn't know you could get a copyright hit on Facebook. Huh. Merle's here. Hey, Merle. Long time no catch up with. All right. Show should have started, like 3 minutes ago. I'm sorry. All right. Let's go over to the other set and we'll get the show started. So we're moving to the other set. And we're turning on the mic in the other set. And we're getting there. We're on the way. Don't forget to silence your cell phones. I always forget. Did you hear that sucker get silenced? There we go. And now I need to put it on something soft so that when it rings and vibrates, it won't go. Put it over there by my jacket so that I won't forget it. Let's see what we can do here. I don't have any guests on the show today, but I do like to listen to the theme music at the beginning of the show. I picked that music because I really liked it. Okay. Oh, damn. Yeah, Dan, did you know there's like an AEST time? I think it's somewhere in Australia. All right, remember, if you're doing a show, you can pull down your shirt from the back and sit on your shirt tail. It'll kind of keep a lot of the wrinkles out, right? A lot of the wrinkles. Oh, we forgot our notes. Hold on. Okay, now we have our notes. As I was preparing for the show today, I was looking back over some of the other shows. We haven't really started the show yet, by the way. I was looking back over some of the other shows that we had done this year. I say we, it's kind of the royal we. Hold on. There we go. Cue the microphone. You can see just the tip of it there. I like that. There's got to be a little flaw in this otherwise perfect video somewhere. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Andrew. Welcome, sir. It's like 5 in the morning over there. Yeah. Hey, Ron, glad to have you. Dave is here. Welcome. Steve's here. Oh my gosh, everybody's getting copyright hits on Facebook for color bars. That's great. Okay. All right. No, I was getting ready for today's show, and I was looking back through some of the shows that I had done this year, and one of my favorite shows was the show that I did with my 10-year-old grandson, where he did the whole show, and I ended up watching like 20 minutes of it this morning because it was just intriguing. Anyway, 7 o'clock in Australia today. All right, very good. Dan holds the copyright on the color bars, so he wants to check. I never use color bars. All right, let's get this albatross on the road before it gets any worse, shall we? X keys, XK80, lots of buttons. You know, lots of extra buttons. You know what extra buttons are for? Extra buttons are for creativity. Hold on one second. There we go. That's a little better. Hold on. One more time. Oh, yeah. There we go. Now we're good. All right. Didn't you guys enjoy Dave Edwards on this show a couple of weeks ago when we talked about the NVIDIA hack? Isn't Dave great? Dave and Kenny are going to be hosting the live stream from the Streaming Idiots meetup at NAB in April. So if you can't be there in person, you can watch the live stream. Yeah. Tommy got a Facebook ding on Christmas Cantata because someone in Afghanistan owns the music. Well, you know, Tommy, that's actually good news. If somebody in Afghanistan owns Christian music, the world is in better state. Big banana buttons for Tom. Absolutely. Look at those big old guys. I got a string of guys across the top, and then I've got one particular banana button in the bottom. That's the cough button. There you go. All right. Vital says that he's glad he's not the only one that can't stand a mic in his face. You know, the whole idea is it's you and it's me, and there's nothing else in between. I do the earbuds so that I can hear the theme music, and also I can hear myself, and that kind of makes me feel good. And I don't want anything really to come between us. I want our relationship to not have any barriers. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. That's a cool graphic on the X keys. Is that a secret way to do that? What graphic is that? You talking about this one right here? That was a gift graphic. That was a gift. Oh, yes. Eric says, thanks for the mouse pad. Eric, was it a mouse pad that looked like this? I bet it was. This is a limited edition Rooney and Dan the Banana Man mouse pad. Yes, indeed. That's Jake back there. He's the other Jack Russell Terrier. He's kind of a background kind of character. Yep, that's right. So you can get one of these too. You have to write an email. Send it to I want a mouse pad. I want a mouse pad at vmix.com. And they will send you a mouse pad. Doggone this thing. Oh, it's amazing. And another big shout out to my friend Richard Hobbs in Kentucky. Richard's a pastor there, and he and I have been working on his vMix setup. And he sent me this really nice bowl that he hand turned himself. And of course, we had to fill it up with Smarties and Dum Dums. Smarties and Dum Dums. All right, very good. All right, very good. And Tommy got his mouse pad too. Okay, well, good. Did I send you one? Yeah, I think I did. All right, enough of this idle chit-chat. Let's go to the show, shall we? Are you ready? Is this going to be fun or what? Mostly or what? There's a button here for this. Here it comes. Hello, welcome. This is Streaming Idiots. Did you guys get to see Tim at vMix's little video this morning? I would say little, it was short. It was a minute video on Facebook talking about vMix just announcing that it has finally completed the partner process with Facebook. So you can now, using vMix, you can stream to Facebook. So guess what? We're doing it today. Well, we're doing it, and then we're not doing it. And we'll start the regular show in just a second, but let me tell you about this first. So if you use the built-in live streaming stuff in the streamer in vMix and click on the Facebook and log into your Facebook account, you can schedule. You could always do that. Well, you've been able to do that since vMix 23 came out, but you can schedule a live stream on Facebook. Well, now you can do it at 1080 because vMix and Facebook have come to an agreement after years of hard-fought negotiation. And they finally got it worked out. So today we are live streaming to the Streaming Idiots group on Facebook, 1080p, I think at 4.5 megabits per second. And we're also live streaming to the Facebook page for Eastern Shore Broadcasting, my company, but only 720, I think. I'm not sure why, but I think we're doing 720 at like 2.5 or something like that. And then what a lot of you are watching right now is the YouTube embed in the Eastern Shore Broadcasting website that is 1080p, I think 4.5. Last week it was 6 megabits per second, but I think we dropped it back to 4.5 just to make sure we had enough overhead. I'm not really sure. I'll have to go back and check, but I do know that we're streaming to Facebook at 1080p. We did some fun testing with that this morning, and it worked. How about that? It worked. The other thing was and this was scary. I was getting ready for this show, and so I started my Facebook stream, and I started my other Facebook stream, and I started my YouTube stream. And when I do that, we just have the countdown. You know, the jaws of death are sitting there, and it's counting down the time in the middle. And it's got a little scroll running across so you can see kind of what's coming up. And I went to YouTube and I went to Facebook, and all three of the streams were frozen. The YouTube one had the circle of death, and the Facebook ones were just like, you know, the scroll bar across the bottom wasn't moving. And, you know, I thought, you know, I'm not, the streamers are red. I mean, this little stream buttons in vMix are red, which is red is good in in vMix world for streaming anyway. Yellow is not good. And so I said, well, let me check it on my phone. Let me check it on a device that's not part of the ecosystem of my live streaming production deal here. And so I pulled up my phone, pulled up YouTube. It was perfect, 1080p. Pulled up Facebook, Eastern Shore Broadcasting page. It was perfect, 720p. It was 720. Pulled up Facebook, Streaming Idiots group. It was perfect, 1080. I mean, everything was moving around. And I thought, well, you know, why would it not do what it's supposed to do here where I can see it easily? And except on my phone, it worked beautifully. So I'm assuming you guys can see it, and you're not just watching a little circle and then just, you know, engaged in the chat. Oh, golly. Somebody's saying something. You need to write in caps locks, then he'll notice. Yeah, the colors are so offending. You need to shift a little bit to your right. You're not center, making you look like I'm leaning left. There we go. Is that better? All right. Now we're good. Now we're good. Miranda's here. We can start. Okay. All right. So, if you haven't found the chat already, go to easternshorebroadcasting.com or streamingidiots.com, and there will be this show right on the front page, but the chat's not part of that. We just popped it on the front page temporarily. But there's a little link underneath that says you can go to the chat, or you can click the Watch Live tab above the video, and that'll take you to the chat, so you won't miss out on the chat. Marie's watching on YouTube. That's good. Okay. So, in fact, most everybody watches on YouTube, at least the ones that are engaging in the chat, because remember, at this point in time, and I don't know why, but it is what it is, vMix Social cannot see or gain access to the comments in a private group like the Streaming Idiots group. And I think it's a privacy thing. So anyway, maybe one day that'll work out. So the reason you came to the show today, in addition to all this little minutia, was to hear about my predictions for 2020. 2020 and the 2020s. Wouldn't that be a very difficult name of a band? It's 2020 and the 2020s. No, it's not going to happen. So I want to reflect back before we start, reflect back on one of my predictions. This was in 2017, I believe, that I predicted with 100% certainty on my part. 100% certainty on my part. This was right after Facebook had released Facebook Live, and I said it is going to be a flop. It's going to be a disaster. Nobody's going to use it. Nobody wants to go to Facebook to live stream. I mean, it's just, it's two ships passing in the night, and they're not going to even talk to each other. Well, how about that? Welcome, Ryan. Glad to have you. It was, I couldn't have been more wrong. I don't think I could have been more wrong about that. It was, Facebook Live has been a huge success for Facebook. And I think it's been a huge success for a lot of us because we've been able to leverage the social media aspects of Facebook and make them work for us as live streamers. I know the folks at PTZ Optics, Paul and Tess, the Stream Geeks, have invited me to come be on the I think it's called the Worship Summit. It's a virtual online summit coming up at the end of January. And that's what I want to talk about, is leveraging the power of Facebook for your church in its live stream. And I've come all the way over to the other side on this one. And I think Facebook Live, not everybody's going to agree with the policies and the politics and all of that. I understand. But from a strictly business standpoint, as a tool, it's a very good tool. And so my apologies to all the folks at Facebook. I'm sorry. It probably held back your it held back your progress significantly to have that prediction. So anyway, Maggie's here. Welcome, Maggie. Glad to have you. So my apologies to Facebook and Mark and all that gang. And so let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the future. Golly gee. Here's a prediction for the 2020s that cameras, a significant number of cameras, camera manufacturers, camera models will be natively NDI. And I don't mean NDI HX, although I think that'll happen too. I mean full bore, 100% red-blooded American, well, it's not really, well, I guess it is American. I don't know, it doesn't matter. NDI, full NDI, the full boat NDI, that we will see more and more camera manufacturers. Well, the only camera manufacturer there is that's doing full NDI right now is is Bird Dog. And that's because they've kind of written it themselves. So we'll see if they license that chip to other camera manufacturers, or whether other camera manufacturers get with new tech and somehow try to crack the code from that standpoint. It's going to be really interesting to see NDI devices with NDI baked in like that. And I predict it's going to happen. Now, not next year, but within the next decade. So number one, we will see NDI become more widely adopted by camera manufacturers and built into their cameras. The camera I'm using today for this show is a PTZ Optics 12X SDI, HDMI, IP cam. I don't think it has the NDI HX in it. We're just using the SDI because it has the least amount of latency. And it's great for a studio. It's great for a studio because if I don't like my shot, I should have done this earlier, I could just take the zoom here and I can pan the camera so that I'm in the middle of the shot. So that was Roger's question in the chat. The next prediction is that, and this was bantied about in the chat earlier, but a new social media giant will emerge. A new social media giant will emerge that will take market share from YouTube and Facebook, and they may already be there. They may already be there. They may just be really, really small, kind of under the radar. It's not going to be a new iteration of Twitter. It's not going to be a new version of Instagram. It's going to be something new. It's something different. I remember back in the good old days of computing, and there was Lotus 123. Any of you guys remember Lotus 123? And there was what was it back then? I guess it was WordStar, maybe, and then DBase and DBase 2 were the databases. So you had a database, you had a spreadsheet, and you had word processing. What more could you ever ask for? What more could you ever ask for? Yeah, so we've come a little ways from all that. That's great. WordPerfect, absolutely, Dan. WordPerfect was the best. I love that software. I was sorry when they didn't really make it. I guess they, going up against Microsoft's pretty tough. So Michael Graves says that Vadio makes a full NDI camera. Well, there you go. The floodgates have opened. Thank you, Michael, for sharing that. So let's see. What's the next prediction after the social media giant? You heard that from me. Social media giant is waiting in the wings. This is interesting. I'm predicting that there's going to be a big separation in the next 10 years between the haves and the have-nots. And the separation will be based on bandwidth. Those that have access to the internet will flourish and have all sorts of educational opportunities and economic opportunities and social opportunities and every kind of opportunity you imagine. And when I say internet, I really do mean high-speed fiber. I don't mean cable or DSL. And then there'll be the folks that don't have the access to the gigabit networks, to the high-speed fiber. They are reduced to, a 5 meg download and a 1 meg upload. And their experience is not going to be as rich because people are going to be planning to serve this market share where, or for example, I was calculating up this morning and I said, okay, I want to do 3 streams and I'm going to do them all from here. And, YouTube was set at 6, and I was thinking about setting for the 2 Facebooks at 6, but that would give me 18 and I only have 20. And that only gives me a 10% margin of error, and I don't feel comfortable with only 10%. Now, yeah, I could have used Restream and done to 100 of them. But I do think the bandwidth is going to be a separator for a lot of people. And let's say we have, one of my predictions has nothing, let me start that whole sentence again. None of my predictions have anything to do with 4K. But if they did, in order to live stream 4K, I would need more bandwidth than I have right now. I have 20. I would need probably at least 25 or 30 just to be on the safe side. And the time is coming, this is my other prediction, the time is coming when we will all have a wall in our house that will be a giant monitor. It'll be a giant LED screen. It'll probably be some sort of wallpaper that we just wall up there, and then we connect the connectors. And so the whole wall becomes an LED wall. The whole wall becomes a giant TV set. And built into that wall in different places are going to be small, well, physically small, but not small in terms of power, small cameras. And all those cameras will collect all the images of my room and make my room available to somebody else that has a giant video wall like this. And so if my son has a giant video wall like this with cameras embedded in it, I have a giant video wall with cameras embedded in it, and we have sufficient bandwidth with low latency, our rooms now adjoin each other. And suddenly my living room is twice the size because the other half of it is his living room. And so as his children, my grandchildren, play and do their homework, and, you know, people come in and they're like, oh, hey, Dad. Oh, hey, how you doing? You know, it's just, it's a virtual reality that's so blended with the real that, you know, who knows? You know, think about a married couple that's separated by miles because of work, where, you know, he or she has to go off 5 days a week to another city or another place, and they can have one of these walls so that they can get together, and their lives don't split. You know, it's. I think the possibilities are stunning. I think stunning. But it's going to be bandwidth dependent. It's going to require a lot of bandwidth, and it probably will be hugely expensive at first, like everything else. Okay. Oh, here's something else that I think is going to happen in the 2020s. I think that live streamers like me and like you and like your church and like your school and like your sports team and like a lot of other places are going to not just, they're going to stop offering a live stream. You say, what? They're going to stop offering a live stream? What do you mean? No, they're going to stop offering one live stream. They're going to offer 5 live streams so that you can be as if you were sitting in, let's say it's an American football game. You're sitting in the stands, you've got your binoculars, and you're looking at the game here, and then you want to go over here and you want to look at the coach and the players on the other team, and then the referee's doing something down here, and then there's somebody in the stands over there doing something crazy, and then an airplane flies over. And if you're there, really, you can look at all that. But if you're there virtually, and the live streamer from that location is going to provide you with, let's say they do their main switched feed. So it's going to have multiple cameras, and it's going to have instant replay and all the graphics. But they're also going to give you 4 other feeds that are alternate shots. And I think this has happened before already on cable. But it's going to be something you and I are going to do. You and I are going to be able to offer all this. vMix is going to be powerful enough. PCs will be powerful enough. You'll have enough bandwidth, and you'll have consumers that will demand this. I mean, how many of you, because you're live streamers, nobody else would be interested, but how many of you would like to see what's going on my vMix desktop right now, so that you can see, you know, what the statistics say across the bottom, you know, any camera switches that I've got going on. How many of you would like to see my multi-view right now and see what was going on in my multi-view? How many of you would like to see just a different camera view, a side camera view, so you can see all the mess that's going on in here? I think more and more people will want to have that kind of full experience. And maybe we'll do that one day on a show next year, and we'll set up some cameras around and multi-stream, multi-live stream, live multi-stream. Yeah, live multi-stream. That's it. Hey, Cliff, glad to have you. Better late. I mean, you know, the show started 30 minutes ago. Gee whiz. All right, so multi-stream live streams. I think, oh, here's a good one. This is a good vMix one. I think the introduction, we know about the SRT Alliance. SRT, that's point-to-point, high quality, reliable, secure, error-corrected video from one point to another point. That is going to open up all sorts of opportunities. The people in the chat are just making me chat, especially that alligator media guy. I think Michael Graves says VR, 360 video. No, that's your prediction, not mine. I want to predict things that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in 360 video. Even though I'm talking about it, sort of, I'm not really. Cliff says, do you want a note from my mother because I'm late? No, we don't want a note from your mother. No more excuses. Just get here on time. What were we talking about? Oh, SRT. I think there's going to be widespread use of SRT because the SRT Alliance has opened up SRT, and so people can adopt it. vMix has adopted it, and they did it with probably no hard cost. Yes, there was soft costs in terms of integrating it, getting up to speed on how it worked, making it work, all the tweaks that were involved in that. But I don't think there was a hard cost. If there was, it wasn't a huge hard cost. Maybe they had to be a member of the SRT Alliance. But I think as more and more, there are over 100 companies in the SRT Alliance now, maybe more than that. And as that becomes more and more people are going to do crazy things with SRT that the originators of SRT never anticipated. For example, and this is a really simple one, but I could see a service set up. It could be anywhere, probably anywhere in the world, depending on internet latency, where let's say I'm live streaming a football game and I've got 2 or 3 cameras and I'm switching between cameras and I'm keeping up with score and I'd really like to have replay. I really would, but I don't have any more room in the press box. I don't have any operators, but I could send you an SRT stream of my favorite camera. And I'm down here in Alabama, and Dave Edwards is out in California, and I could send my SRT stream of one camera out to Dave. Dave could pick it up, do instant replay with it, get it all queued up and ready to go. It comes back to me as a second SRT feed, and it's an output from my vMix to Dave, and then it's a separate SRT input coming into my production. Yeah, it's got a little latency in it, but who cares? It's replay, right? And so it's queued up. I'm ready to run the replay. He's got it ready to go within, 5 seconds. We'll add an extra second for latency. So I send it to him with an SRT latency of 250 milliseconds. He sends it back to me with an SRT latency of 250 milliseconds. That's a half a second, and it takes him 5 seconds to queue it up. I've got replay. I didn't have to pay for any equipment. I didn't have to pay for an extra camera. I didn't have to pay for a higher version of vMix in order to do that. But Dave is going to provide this to me as a service, either by the hour or by the minute or by the game or whatever. And he can do it in his PJs. You ought to see Dave in his PJs, by the way. Those cute little ducks. Anyway, so that's my idea. Somebody's going to make a service out of that. It's not going to be me, but maybe somebody that took our instant replay class will want to do that. All right. Going down the list here. Stay with me. This is my prediction for 2020 and the 2020s. 2020s. Was it a garbage truck that just went by? I don't know. It probably was just my voice. I get a little cranky sometimes. In the 2020s, 8K will be used in live streaming. 8K! Oh my God! 8K! No, nobody can watch 8K. It can't possibly be done. I know that. But if we can get a decent 8K camera at a decent price and get it into a vMix production, we can get Martin Sinclair to get off his fanny and unlock 8K in vMix, which it probably can do already. You just can't get to it. Then we can do a real regions of interest. We can get an 8K camera, we can stick it on the back wall in the church, and we can get the whole service as if there were 10 different cameras on that. We don't get angles now, but we get individual shots. We can put it in an auditorium and do the same thing with a theater production. We can do the same thing probably in a basketball gymnasium. you've got that Pixelot camera, whatever that thing is. It's got the multiple cameras in it, and it stitches it all together. It does all those sort of things. Well, 8K, you can do the whole thing. You don't have to pay anything to them for any licensure or special software or something like that. You take your 8K camera, you plug it into your 8K capture card, you put it into your Obsidian vMix PC, and away you go. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Dave sleeps in his banana suit. I'm sorry. I thought they were little duckies. They were bananas. My bad. So I think 8K and regions of interest will hit their stride in the 20s. 8K regions of interest hit their stride in the 20s. That is, unless we start streaming 4K, and then we got to go up to, 64K in order to get the same thing. Here's one that you'll like. I think AI will come into its own in live streaming. And we've seen just a smidgen of it already. I don't know if you remember back in April, the vMix guys put in a feature into vMix that was an April Fool's joke. Those crazy guys, what are they thinking? They're putting stuff into their software that's an April Fool's joke? Yes, it was there. It's called vMix Voice. A lot of people thought it was just a joke. It's in the software. It has to do with Google voice recognition and, a bunch of stuff. But you can take vMix right now, and I should have set it up for this show. It really would be funny, so that every time I said AI, it would flash AI up here, or it would rain or something like that. But vMix will respond to voice commands. That's a little bit of artificial intelligence, not a whole lot. Tommy says that Giles is already working on that for streaming. I'm predicting that it gets integrated into things like vMix, and I hope vMix, to such a point where a producer like me, a content creator like me, can become more focused on the content than on the technology. Well, maybe not me. I'll always be focused on the technology. But a content creator can be focused on the content and not so much on the creation aspect of the content, the technical part of it. And so that the software learns what they like. As I produce my show and as I switch cameras and run lower thirds and bring in videos, the software begins to learn what I like and anticipates and said, Tom's talking about 8K right now. I bet he'd like it if I'd go out to the internet, find a cool 8K graphic, and just position it right up here. And then it just appears. I'll go back and edit and put in a little 8K there later. That would be fun, wouldn't it? So AI, I think the ability to learn from what we do, it could mean that you could have an incredibly complex show with multiple cameras, multiple mics, all sorts of effects, and you never touch a keyboard, you never touch you don't do anything. Now, is there the possibility, excuse me, I'm keeping myself awake, sorry about that. Is there a possibility that it could go terribly wrong? Yes, of course. But I think we're going to see some inroads. I'm not going to say it's going to be a mature product, but I think we're going to see some inroads into that in the future. I mean, for example, it could be as simple as, what was I thinking? Oh, I know what it was. It was the camera following a person. So yeah, that's built into some cameras now. It's built into some softwares, but to have it be super, super simple. So you just simply take, 4 pictures of somebody, feed it in, and the color of their shirt and the color of their skin, and away you go, and it follows that person. Nothing to it. There you go. I'm distracted by the chat again. Sorry about that. So AI will really come into play. Self-produced talk shows where the software learns from you. Down to earth a little bit more. I think longer form content will become more popular as people abandon television abandoned cable anyway, not necessarily television. I think they're going to want longer term content. I know Cliff is out there and he's producing some good long-term content. A lot of you are. And people are going to be more and more interested in that. And the average view, and I think even the millennials, who are the 5-second kids, will, with good quality content, will be engaged in the story. That's going to put the pressure on the content creators to produce things that are worth being engaged in. I mean, stupid stuff is not going to get you a long-term relationship. If you do a video about throwing stuff around a room and blowing things up and that kind of thing, people can pop in and out of that. But if you have a longer-term story, a long-term video that tells a story, people will get engaged in the story and stay with the story to the very end. And for your advertisers or your sponsors, that's going to be gold. Here's a good one. This is fun. Back in June or July, my grandson Parker was the host of Streaming Idiots. Did a wonderful job. Go back and watch that show. It warms my heart. I watched some of it this morning. And during the 20s, he will be a YouTuber. I'm already building a PC for him here. It's got all the right stuff in it. We're going to collaborate, he and I, on the best way to start his YouTube stream. And he's really excited about it. He's going to be a YouTuber. So keep an eye out for Parker. What is it going to be? Golly. He's got a really cool name for his show that he and his dad came up with. I'll come up with it. I'll put it in the notes, and I'll make sure everybody knows about it, of course. But Parker's going to be a live streamer. Here's my last one, and this is kind of a duh, Tom. Of course, that's happening. Tommy Parker it's gonna be a show about computer games, something called Roblox. Don't ask me what it is. Don't have a clue. But I'll be finding out, believe me. The last prediction is that churches will begin to use live streaming. Come on, Tom. Don't be an idiot. Well, wait a second. Of course, be an idiot. Yeah, but what do I mean? Of course, I mean something besides what I said I meant. What I mean is that right now you've got all the mega churches that have done TV and are now kind of migrating into live streaming. I get that. And then you've got kind of the next tier regional churches that are doing a lot of things, especially the non-denoms. And they're doing cutting edge things because they're trying to grow, number one, and they want to do cutting edge things to appear to be cutting edge. But you've also got the traditional denoms, and you've got the churches that have been in existence, and let's just say for more than 20 or 25 years. The ones that have got, family after generation after generation after generation that have grown up in those churches. And to my knowledge, those have not embraced live streaming. There are always exceptions to the rule, but I don't think those traditional kind of churches have embraced live streaming because I think most of them are really not interested in what would you call it? My words, I've got 10 words that are rushing to my mouth at the same time, and none of them are the right words. But I don't think many of those are interested in growing twice or three times their size. I think they're really comfortable with the size they are. That's why they are the size they are. That's why the parking lot is full on Sunday morning, and the implied message to somebody coming to visit is there's really no room for you here. And I'm not going to pass judgment on that one way or the other. But so I don't think those churches have been motivated to live stream based on increase in membership. And again, certainly there are exceptions to that. But I think they have discovered that live streaming exists, and they've heard other people talk about it, and they've had individually, members have probably had the experience of going on vacation, being in the hospital, being sick, having to be away over the weekend for work, and they miss out on what went on in their church home, and they realize that they could have had it if they had had live streaming. So in some ways it kind of becomes, I won't say selfish, but kind of a self-motivated kind of thing. And yeah, we can dress it up and we can say that, yeah, this is great for all the folks that are permanently homebound, that will never, ever set foot in the church again until the day their day of their funeral. Not trying to sound morbid, just being accurate. They're folks that have moved away to a different place, and maybe they haven't been able to find a church like the one they left that they loved, and so they would like to pop in on Sunday mornings and see familiar faces and hear familiar words and familiar songs in a familiar environment. They're folks that are away at college, are on vacation. I mean, you know the list, and I think that's going to become a greater motivation for traditional congregations, traditional parishes, traditional churches to open up the idea of live streaming. And one of the advantages, I think, is that a lot of these churches, they have a budget. A lot of them have a budget. They iron out their budget every year, and so they say, okay, well, we're going to put some money in the budget to increase our internet bandwidth. We're going to solicit contributions of people that would either give us product or give us money so that we can buy the gear we need. And so I think even though the live streaming has made a huge inroads into churches, I really think it has only made maybe a 20% inroad. I think I think the majority of churches are out there not live streaming, or maybe they've tried it and it didn't work out because it was somebody's set up like you would see me do when I started out 10 years ago, 12 years ago now, I guess. So I think we're going to see a lot of growth in that area. I think we're going to see a lot of churches decide that they absolutely positively have to have it for their current members. And what they're going to find is, unless they keep their light under a bushel, that they're going to get some new members out of this. And that's going to be one of the strategies that I'm going to share at the Live Streaming Summit coming up in January. The worship streaming, what is it called? I think it's called the Worship Summit or the Worship Streaming Summit. I'll have to get the information and get it to you. But it's going to be an exciting time for churches and for houses of worship of other faiths as we move into this kind of, I won't say the maturing of the live stream, but the more acceptance of live stream as being a traditional method. How about that? Traditional method of communications. Tommy says that they have no budget at their church, but they have a small church, and that's what motivated them for folks that were on vacation, out sick, etc. And I think we're going to see more and more and more and more and more of it. And I'm delighted by the fact, because I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good for churches. I think it's going to be good for people. Yep, I do. So there you go. There are my predictions. How many predictions did I had? I had AI will be king, 8K will arrive for region of interest, widespread SRT use, multi-stream live streams, bandwidth will separate the haves and the have-nots, new social media giant will emerge, cameras will do NDI natively, my grandson will be a YouTuber, long-form content will thrive, and churches, especially traditional churches, will embrace live streaming. That is 10 predictions for the 2020s, and I'll go to the mat on those predictions. There you go. So I'd love to hear what you think. And I'm in trying to catch some of your comments as we go through it, but I'd love to hear what you think. If you've got questions for me or you want to argue with me about something, I would love to argue with you about these, but let's do it in the post shows, shall we? So we have reached the end of our allotted time plus. So let's just say that we're going to go into post show now, number one. Number two, we will not have a live stream for the next 2 weeks because I'm on holiday. Next week is Christmas Day, and I'll be not live streaming on Christmas Day. And the week after that is January 1st, New Year's Day, and I will not be live streaming that day either. On a personal note, on New Year's Eve, my middle son is getting married. And so we will have married off 2 boys this year, but on New Year's Eve at sunset on the edge of the lake, on the dock overlooking the lake and the sun, he will be marrying his soon-to-be bride, and I will be performing the ceremony. Again, that's twice in 1 year. Had to go renew my license for that. So I'm really excited. I'm also really excited on another personal note. Well, it's a professional note, that Ashley and her crew at the Greater Bethel Temple in Omaha, Nebraska, they just got a new live streaming PC from us after they bought a quick story. They bought our too many words coming to the tongue. They bought vMix from vMix or somebody else, I don't know. And they were having trouble, and they called me and said, we need help. And I said, sure, we've got an annual contract. So they bought the annual contract, and we got them straightened out. And they were dealing with substandard equipment. That was part of the problem. But at least we got them back on the road to good health. Well, they finally gave up on their substandard equipment. They said, Tom, build us something. I said, I'd love to. I've been waiting for you to ask me. So I built them something. They've put it in, and they name all their computers. I thought this was interesting. I don't name my computers. I probably ought to. And the computer that they were using before that did vMix was called ASA. A-S-A. A-S-A, yeah, ASA. Okay, maybe that means something somewhere else, but it didn't mean anything to me. And I was delighted to hear that they had named the computer I built for them. They named it Dagger. Dagger. Oh, yeah, there's a great name. Dagger. And they said, dagger comes from, the scripture that the word of God is like a two-edged sword, cuts like a two-edged sword. And so a dagger is a little teeny two-edged sword. So they're using the dagger to spread the word. I was really, really excited about that. So Ashley, hat tip to you and all the folks at Greater Bethel Church in Omaha, Nebraska on the dagger. And, of course, if I can help you with any questions, you're free to call. Now, if you're out there and you're saying, our stuff is crap too, Tom, we need help. Well, shoot me an email, call me on the phone, Facebook message me, whatever. There's lots of ways to get a hold. Alan says the one that we built for Good Shepherd Lutheran Church up in Wisconsin is called Gizmo. Okay, it doesn't quite have the same cutting edge effect, Al, but I get it. Al is going to be on the Worship Summit coming up the end of January, talking about all the things they're doing there at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church with their live stream PC that we just happened to build. So, yeah, you can get more on that. But if I can help you with any of that stuff, of course, I would like to. And if you know somebody that needs help and you don't want to be their tech support guy, send them our direction. We'll provide a tech support contract for vMix, or we can build them a PC and build the tech support and training into it, of course. So let's go to the post show. Now that we got all that business work done. And we will be back with the post show comments in just a second. And that's a wrap, folks. All right, let's see if we got a post show. There we go. There's a post show. Is this thing on? Okay, that's working. All right. So Al's got a gizmo. Ashley's got a dagger. There you go. So I want to see some comments that I might have missed. Tommy says, don't forget to click on a thumb and ring the bell. You got to explain that one to me. Ryan says, I'm waiting for vMix to unveil some form of object tracking like the DJI, even using contrast or facial detection for regions of interest. Yeah, there you go. That would work. That would work. And Vital says you can get a head that follows a band on your wrist. Absolutely, you can. Yeah, who was it? Well, I think it was Rich was saying that he was using that with his jet ski racing, and he would clip that little tag on a racer, and then the camera would follow them on the race, but he couldn't get the tags back. Oh, that's funny. Let's see. Don't panic. Chris has just arrived. What did he miss? Kenny says, Tom, I'm still stinging from your prediction about Facebook and live video from a few years ago. That was a classic, wasn't it, Kenny? You know, and it's funny. Sometimes it's not when you're so right that makes your reputation. Okay, Dave says, Tom, I sent you a white paper concerning when it comes to streaming live video over the internet, how to do RTMP and SRT compare. I hope you just sent it, because if you've sent it previously, oh, it's a Facebook Messenger attachment, then I haven't seen it before. Good. Thank you. All right, Michael Graves. Thank you, Michael. Michael is just the voice of wisdom in this. SRT is for a contribution. RTMP is for delivery. He must have read Dave's white paper. There you go. Yeah, Rich says he used it for 2 years and the guys would take off with the tags. Rich, you should have gotten them to trade like their driver's license or something to you, because you know then they wouldn't have run off with the tags. But they probably wouldn't have given you their driver's license either. Or maybe they got, some sort of prize when they brought it back. A cold brew. Anyway, yeah. Eric just came out. I thought you were here earlier. Well, he says. What can I say? Oh, I know something that a personal note. I was cruising around YouTube, and I cruise around YouTube, and I cruise around Twitter, and I cruise around Facebook, and I cruise around Instagram, and I was cruising around YouTube, and I just stumbled over. Eric said the software just came out. Okay, great. What software? Eric. I was cruising around YouTube and came upon a band, a musical group called what was it called? The Foxes and Fossils. And that sort of intrigued me. I know what a fossil is. It's an old guy. And I know what a fox is. It's a young chick. And so apparently there were these old guys, and one of the guy's daughters and some of her friends played together and did all, I think, 100% covers. But if you're ever on YouTube and you want to listen to something that's amateur but still really, really good, check out Foxes and Fossils. All right, Daniel says, I've been using the Solo Shot 3 follow a tag on your arm camera, and it tracked fairly well, not used for live, though. Oh, interesting. Okay. Dan has a comment for Eric. All right. Taekwondo replays. Welcome. Glad to have you. Okay. Eric now says free SRT player from Hey Vision. Okay, Hey Visions are the ones that invented SRT. And we'll let Eric and Dan work things out there. Dave says that his paper is more than definitions, that not necessarily a paper he wrote, although it could have been a paper he wrote. I think it's one that he was sharing, that SRT and RTMP are two actual comparisons of how the two protocols perform when streaming live video over the internet. And Daniel says, unfortunately, the build quality is fairly low, so it broke down. That's the solo shot. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It looked like it had a lot of promise. So Rich says, so what is the live stream social media thing you mentioned? Any details? Well, Rich, you know, when you have an NDA, not really. Oh, I don't know anything. I'm just predicting. You can quote me on that. Tom says he doesn't know anything. Yep. I sense a little bit of a vacuum there. And I think, nature abhors a vacuum. And somebody will see an opportunity in there that takes it all to a whole new level. Yep. And now Chris and Dan and Eric are in a conversation, and Dave and Michael are in a conversation, and I'm being left out. So if I'm going to be left out, I'm going to go back to another page on the chat, see what you guys had to say over there. Eric says that NFL and ESPN use SRT. Yes, you had shared that before. I remember that. Dave said he sleeps in his banana chute. Vital says that 8K live streams can be done. I don't doubt that. Let's go back even further in time. Tommy said something about nude pictures of Dan's dog. Tommy, I think we need to have a chat. Ryan says, thank goodness you got rid of chat wing. Yeah, I don't even miss it. I don't even miss it. Let's see. Ron says, Tom, can you give us a shot of your studio? That was a while back. I actually need to do a studio tour. So, yeah. And Dan says that X keys can do a custom keys for the X keys. I'm going to have you guys make some one of these days. Dun. Let's go back to live action and see what the live says. Marie says, sort of like Snapchat, TikTok, but for longer videos. I don't know. I haven't invented it, and I'm not likely to invent it. But I could sure talk about it, and if we could talk about it, maybe we could copyright what we're talking about and at least get paid when somebody else invents it. Michael Graves, SRT is interesting since it borrows a lot of ideas. Excuse me, goodness, from WebRTC. Yeah, I've heard you say that before. That's pretty cool. Dan has a dog that's fully SRT compatible. We've heard that before. Michael Graves, will vMix introduce a new product in 2020? Oh, yeah. Well, not a new product. Well, I mean, let me wind all that back. Will vMix introduce a new product in 2020? I don't know. I do know that vMix 24 is coming out in 2020, and that will be a rework and a fairly extensive reworking of the vMix replay, which will be really, really good. Marie says, Tom, didn't think you would be interested in pictures of nude dogs. Are you addressing that to me or Tommy, who goes by Tom in the chat, but we really know that he's Tommy? Marie says, and Dan, you need a large frame rate to capture videos of your dog. Well, there you go. Eric says that HiVision Play Pro is an iOS app that provides the easiest way to view live SRT streams on your iPhone or iPad. Best of all, it's absolutely free. Download from the App Store. Worked well in the but Eric, what would you use it for? I mean, I wouldn't send out an SRT stream as part of my. SRT is point to point. It's not point to multi-point. So, I guess I might. I don't get that. Maybe video on demand. Oh, it was to me. Well, thank you, Marie. Okay. No, I'm trying to stay away from naked pictures of any kind. Before you sign off, any NAB updates or meetup info? Yeah, the meetup is going to be on the Monday night of NAB. I believe NAB starts on the 18th, maybe. It starts on Sunday this year, so we're having the meetup on the second night of NAB, which is traditional, but it'll be Monday instead of Tuesday. It's going to be at Scott Whitney's studio, the Podwork studio there in Las Vegas, probably about 7 p.m. local time for a couple, 3 hours. And it's going to be a great event. And Dave and Kenny are going to host the live stream, and we'll probably be interviewing a lot of people like Rich Ignacio to talk about live streaming, and then we'll give away some goodies. It'll be a lot of fun. It's a great party. It's a it's a reunion is what it is. Tommy wants vMix 25 with teleportation. They've already done that, Tommy. Otis is here. Welcome, Otis. Glad to have you. Dan says maybe SRT for the virtual living room you described. Well, maybe. That's an interesting thought. My guess is, Dan, it probably wouldn't be SRT per se, but it could be something like that. Because it's going to be huge files. Daniel says teleportation would be nice, then you wouldn't even have to go to the venue, just teleport the action to your office. That's right. Eric says, I'm going to use it for testing to send to master control. Okay, there you go. That's a good use of it. So if you're out in the field and you're setting up an SRT feed, you want to see what it looks like on the other end without having to be on the other end. So you use your phone. Tommy, those teleportation units. Oh, sorry, Marie, not intended for you. Long awaited by many. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Chris says SRT could be used to stream to a more reliable streaming machine to avoid dropouts. Yep. I think that is the intention right now. In fact, that's probably how ESPN and NFL Network used it for their European football or American football in Europe. Broadcast is they sent it over SRT back to the States and then rebroadcast it from headquarters. Marie, but if anyone can make it, it'll be them vMix guys. All right. Taekwondo Replay says, I'm waiting for vMix 25 to do more replay cams. That'll be vMix 24. vMix 23, as you well know, has just come out within the last several weeks. vMix 24 is already announced as being a rewrite of vMix Replay with the hope to go to 8 cameras and to split off the A and B so that they're separate, and some other good things. I'm hoping that we'll see a glimpse of that at NAB. So if you're planning on going to NAB, you want to make sure you make it by the vMix booth. So that you can see vMix 24. That's what Tom says. It's not necessarily what the vMix guys say, but so that you can see vMix 24 in real life. Dave says Jim Jacobs wants to test RTC for that very purpose since he sends all his content to his office and distributes from there. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And the fact that it's got built-in error correction um, means that it's going to be a higher quality than just using vMix call or something else like that. John says several video platforms are implementing SRT for ingest. I believe it. I believe it. Taekwondo says, the TAL on vMix 21, the next version will be with more cams. I hope it come on 24, but I think it come on 25. Well, Martin Sinclair, the president, CEO, and developer of vMix, has said it will be in 24. But he didn't say when 24 was coming. They may release 23, 25 before they release 24, but that a major rewrite of instant replay was coming in vMix 24. All right, Anderson's out of here. He's got to get ready for church midweek. Yeah, he's soaking up those rays in Barbados, man. We've got no sympathy for you whatsoever. So long. Have good church. He's still looking for a good, cheap SDI HD capture card, 2 to 4 inputs. Yep. SDI HD. SDI HD. Yep. Good luck. I mean, if you can find one for under $500 for 4 inputs, you probably got a pretty good deal. Well, actually, I think I can get them for under $500. I can sell them for under $500. Isn't that amazing? I remember coming into this when a standard definition 4-port Osprey card was over $1,000. And then, Blackmagic didn't even make an HDMI version, but the DeckLink Quad was what was that? That was $9.95 for 4 channels. Then they made it the Quad 2 for 8 channels, and all hell broke loose. Camp Crafty says, without giving up your secret sauce, will you do a show on Stream PC build? That is the one show we won't do. We might pop in there to take a look at a build now and again, but I'm not real hep on. I mean, here's the thing. I can't do a video in good conscience. I can't do a video that only shows you part of what you would need to do to be successful. But I also can't do a video that shows you all my secrets. And my secrets are the secret sauce that it takes to be. Now, are they out there on the internet? Probably. If not all of them, certainly many of them. But that's why we do what we do. That's why we think what we do has value. Yep. Taekwondo Replay said, okay, then 2020 will be a good year with vMix 24. Right. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It may not happen in the spring. But I think we're going to have a look at 24 at NAB. That's my guess. And let's see, what was it? We had a look at 23 at IBC, and then I think 22 we had a look at, or I'll have to go back and see what was the rage at NAB last year. I don't remember. All right, Dan says he's looking for freelance work. He shouldn't have much trouble with that, I wouldn't think, with all the success he's brought to X-Keys. Rich says, any chance for streaming idiots behind the scenes on other broadcasters? Why, are you volunteering? No, Rich has been very gracious and opened up his secrets to us several times over the years. Marie says there are plenty of PC building videos out there on YouTube. That's right, Marie. And if you want to follow those and think that those will teach you how to build a live streaming PC, Dave, glad to have you. Merry Christmas to you. All right, let's see. Mediateknik in Sweden sells an unused unboxed Decklink Quad 2 for roughly US $370. Well, that's amazing. That's below cost for a reseller. Well, I better go have a look at that. Although if it's black market or gray market material, it may not come with the old Blackmagic warranty, which is great. If you've ever had a chance to talk to Blackmagic tech support, you'll have to wait a long time on the phone. But once you get them, they're sharp as tacks. They're worth the wait. And they take all the time that you need. Yep. I've had a good experience with Blackmagic. Although, you know, there have been times when Blackmagic cards had problems. But, you know, what never has problems? Windows? Anderson says he's afraid of Blackmagic cards. He has two and he can only get one channel from each. Should be 2 in, 2 out, but I can only get one input. And most time the drivers are giving hell. Yeah, and I suspect that sometimes there can actually be a problem with it. You know, it just broke. And the trick will be to get it fixed. Don't, I mean, yeah, certainly there's certain types of cars I won't drive, but just because my current car breaks down doesn't mean I won't ever get another one just like it, because I love it. It's a, you know, it's a Honda Odyssey minivan. It's a family van, but it's the most comfortable car I've ever driven, and it's got over 200,000 miles on it. I'll keep driving it. Daniel says they are a proper dealer. Well, more power to them. Gunnar just tested the 1080p to Facebook, and it streamed very well. We're doing the same thing right now. Otis says Merry Christmas to y'all from Texas, and good night. Okay, good night. Jan says, simple using what software? What simple are we referring to there, sir? I'm looking back through the comments about something simple. I don't see it. Eric, I would love to, but would have to bring you into the heat in South Georgia. Dan, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Not worth it. All right. Eric, do I know where in South Georgia you are? I know TJ's over in Brunswick. Eric, Tom, I own 3 Honda Odysseys. No real issues other than my daughter crashing one of them. Well, if she's a teenager, Eric, I can tell you why she crashed it. She doesn't want to drive a minivan. And if crashing it is the only way to get rid of it. Oh, just teasing, of course. Long commute from Grand Rapids. Albany, yes, I know Albany. Not well, but I know Albany. Yep. We ought to have a southern meetup sometime. That would be fun. Do a weekend somewhere and just chat up, live streaming. Question for the simple guy with Blackmagic trouble. Thank you, John. That is Anderson from Barbados, and I think he's gone now. Oh, I see. You were addressing it to him as simple. I'm a little slow on the uptake. I think he uses vMix. My bad. My bad. All right, guys. Well, it is 3:21 here, and I think it's time to wrap up. But I do so appreciate all of you popping in on the live stream today. It was a lot of fun. And we'll see if I'm right on, I got 10 of them, so maybe I'll get one of them. Camp Crafty says, Atlanta says yes to a meetup. Okay, good. Well, it would be fun to go to Atlanta, not in the winter. Because Atlanta's in the deep south, but it's not that deep. Gunnar says, I stream with automation for vMix and go and have a cup of coffee, and it's all automatic, intro and outro. Well, there you go. That's Giles. We need to get Giles to come on the show and talk about that. We sure do. Except it's the middle of the night for him. All right, boys and girls. Well, we're going to let the stream run out. I appreciate each and every one of you taking time with me today. It is an honor. It is an honor, and I appreciate your trust and your interest. And I will see you later. How do we do this? Oh yeah, here it is.